Hi everyone, I am going to do today's reading on the US election. So we're going to dive in, see how each one's feeling at this moment in time, add a little bit more. I do have some global psychic predictions noted, and honestly I want to take a few days off from YouTube, but I wanted to before Liam Payne, and then Spirit won't leave me all the 17th, and it was actually very heavy energy, so then I put it out on the 18th to members, and then eventually to open on YouTube. And then I had a few which in the Menendez brothers I mentioned that I wanted to do readings on, and I just felt no, it's not worth it. And then I feel, and when I say it's not worth it, please, if you're a subscriber, don't take offense, because you're the only people that have kept me going. Spirit pushed me to do the Menendez brothers, and I had no clue the next day was going to be the release of the decision. But I managed to catch that, because when they do a reading, sometimes similar stuff pop up. And now, I don't know, I feel like I'll do this, but the global prophecy and the global psychic predictions I do need to do, because today I've had a dream of Princess Margaret. So I might just add some predictions in at the end of this, and hopefully people from the UK tune in, and other parts of the country, the world, not the country. Because there is, or I might just do a separate reading on the UK after this, and then the global predictions. Let's see how we go. Try and motivate myself. Help me stay motivated. Some of you do an amazing job. I don't know if you know, when you're on constantly giving out energy and there's nothing being given back from like the platform or even growth or anything, forget subscribers and members. I do want to give a shout out to a member and a Patreon member, you know who you are, and a few subscribers. So having said that, one thing I noticed a few days ago, it might have been about 5 days ago now, is on my feed, Trump was at McDonald's and he was serving food, but mainly fries, I think, mainly like fries. And I might do a follow-up reading on this, but I'm going to do a quick check-in on something. 2 days after that, my feed was full of, and I actually made a note of this. Let's see if I've got it. EColi outbreak at McDonald's. And I thought, here we go. And in the global psychic predictions, if I get to it, because I want to do a reading on Beyonce, the CEO that's just been arrested. Elon Musk is a very big read that you need to check, that ties in with the US and the world, his journey in this world. But again, I've said the word, so duck. And I had some prophecy around this, so I might cross over in the predictions into the US again. But I do want to say that let's start off with let's just do a check-in on the McDonald's EColi outbreak. I'm not saying it's false, but I know that, for example, is it Wyoming? I think it was Kansas. I wrote the states down. That's what I'm trying to look for. Where did I write the states? Sounds so annoying. That's because there's more readings I want to do, but one second, I'm sorry guys. Oh, I've got a message here to write to a Patreon. I was thinking to do a reading on Jared Kushner, and I don't know if you want that, please comment in the comment box. And if there's a big vote for it, I will, because I think it might irritate some people just because it's relative to someone else. But what you need to know, it doesn't matter if someone's relative. We don't like all our relatives, do we? Sometimes we think they're right. Something else. Okay, so I don't know where I've put that, to be honest with you. I also want to do a reading on freedom of speech. I don't know where it is. Anyway, it was from 6 states. I'll find it after this, won't I? It was from 6 states, and what I understand, it's from The Onion. But I want to see, have they timed this on purpose? To me, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, right? So let's just look into this. I'm not saying it's false news. I'm just saying the timing of it. And, you know, so these cases could have been began a few days earlier. It could have began, what first case could have been a week or 2 earlier, but not on the exact date that they reported seeing it. Okay, and my candle's gone out, which, whatever. Okay, so yes, they have. They did time it, and I don't think it's what had bought in, because I kept waiting thinking that there's going to be readers and people that might pop up, seeing as I looked at the E. coli, found out it was onion. Now, anything that has a title of E. coli or McDonald's will then come on my feed. Nothing came up, so I don't know if there's been psychics, but for me, it was clear of day that they've done this in a timely manner, okay, to switch up the votes, okay, and yes, definitely. So, I mean, some of you might think that's conspiracy. I got a total psychic download as soon as I see it, and you know that I'm not. Look, you know that I'm not. It was done on purpose. I'm not saying they put E. coli in the onion on purpose. I think you know what I'm saying. So there you go. That's that for you. Now, interestingly, I believe Trump is supposed to be on the Rogan show, Joe Rogan show, and he has already been on, or he hasn't been on. I dare say, let's have a look. How will that go? It is I think it's the 25th today. I'm the 26th. So when you see this reading, hopefully it'll also be the 26th. I'm told to look at that card that was face up, strength card. How did it go? Looks like it went well. Okay, very much in kind of a strength position. You know what? I really feel like do you know who I'm seeing? J.D. Vance. When he stands and he listens and then he answers. Something I can't believe I saw the other day is someone say in a thumbnail, it says, duck is something which might be true or not, but the word that stupid stood out. I was like, you're a bit very far off the target there. Remember, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm just telling you my 2 cents. I do want to say, though, I will be doing further readings because there's a big energy that I want to explain of purpose of certain people in this running up, right? And you'll see it in my readings as we go along, right? So how did that go? How did it go, or how is it going to go? 4 of Pentacles, 3 of Swords. One more card. We'll take that as well. Page of Wands and the Temperance. And the Moon, okay? So there would have been things that Trump is going to say or has said, and it will be something. So he might say, I don't know how Joe Rogan's going to present, but I think firstly, the first thing I'm going to say, if international affairs is brought up in this interview, Trump is going to show Duck. I keep forgetting because of Patreon or anything other than YouTube. Duck is going to show that he is like, for example, if he's asked about international affairs, right, he's going to give a solid answer. He's going to be showing that he's very much holding on, okay? There's an element here of, there is the past, okay? There is something that he brings up of the past that shows, it could be something that he's faced in the past. It could be related to anything, and he brings it up as an example, as a new idea, right? So, for example, Rogan says to him, what do you think, how will the US handle or do this, or what will you introduce? And he might bring up a situation of that past. That past situation actually means a lot more than what he will say or present it, okay? So it's really, he might have had a loss of this past situation. He is then going to be like, the way I will know how to handle this, or we are going to do this, because he won't tell you the actual way, of course. And what I'm saying is he can't, and he won't tell you, we're going to do this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to say, this is what will be implemented, 100% black and white. Think about it. He can't do that because that can be stolen. That's what I would say. You know, both parties are trying to listen in. But he will give you that there is a new idea, there is a birthing. He's going to present himself a very patient and listening and in moderation. So he's not going to be really, really out there. He's going to be very moderate in his approach. I do think, like I was going to say, that I think any international affairs, you're going to see a different answer. And I've always said this from the way maybe Camel would handle the answer. So that's what I get here. Let's see the overall outcome of everything. I do believe that he will be asked about international affairs. He could be asked about J.D. Vance or one of his sons. So here, yeah, what are we doing in the US for people that are, anything in the US where people feel really stalled and stopped, okay, and held back, right? The outcome is a bit weird here. Hang on a sec. I didn't ask the question, to be honest. I was trying. I'm going to take these back, right? I can get a clarifier, but I didn't ask the question. I was talking. So if it needs to come out, it will come out. There is an energy here of where people felt stuck. There's something that that's said about people feeling stuck or not being able to move forward in their life, right? So how is the overall outcome of this interview going to be? Or obviously, if it's happened, be Four of Swords and the Lovers, okay? Interesting cards. They kind of mirror what happened, okay? The overall outcome is really going to be down to the choices that is presented in terms of his answers. I also feel like there is really, I felt this before, I've said it for a long time, that he needs to look after his health because there's too much pressure. This was even before this build-up of presidents running. Back in the first ever read, actually, I did when I didn't even know he had any court cases. And then there was a conviction, I believe. And I still believe you're going to be like, what the hell at the end of this, the way it works out. So I'm just going to put this further back because, okay. So yeah, there is definitely choices in terms of certain matters. And I think it's going to be when one president ends, right? When it leaves, what are you going to be doing? So if you're in presidency, what are you going to be doing? So one person, current president, has gone, right? He's left the arena and you've won, or he's totally left the planet. What is it? And there's going to be a choice of what he presents in terms of his answers. But his answers are going to be very kind of solid, long run answers. They're going to be kind of practical. Ace of Swords. But he's not going to tell you every little thing that he will do. He's not going to be, again, I got it here. He's not going to say, I am going to do, I'm going to put the pinks, the crystal, and the opal clear crystal here. He is going to say, I'm going to put two stones, I'm going to put two stones here, right? So there's going to be a lack of clarity on something. I mentioned in December we need to watch Joe Biden, and here I feel that this is coming up in the energy. There's a lack of clarity here around Joe Biden. Okay, so now what I want to say is, I mentioned in my readings about certain circumstances that will be twisting the votes, like the weather. And the current escalation of the Middle East is definitely impacting the votes. And if not, they should be, because it's really escalating. And I did the reading on the Middle East, and I said what's going to happen is they are going to try and disarm Iran like they did Iraq. And I think that is probably happening. The last I knew is that is it Yahya from the Hamas was apparently and we are going to continue to see this kind of energy of assassination ongoing. Okay, and like I said, Trump needs to be really, really careful. The other thing that I'm getting is, I'm not sure, and I forgot to mention it was a download. Rogan is kind of like a UFC kind of guy. So hang on a sec. Was he more, I don't know why, was he more of a Democrat than Trump? And suddenly he's got Trump on his show. Trump has Elon, RFK, who's willing to talk about his own party. So these are big things, these are big elements. I don't know if he will try to invite Camel, but I'm not sure she will take it up, because I feel Rogan, the way he's going to deliver to Trump is very direct. In this situation, what will you do? It's not going to be like beating around the bush, okay? I'm going to have to see how that is. I don't know when that is, but it was yesterday my time that I saw that he will be on the Rogan show. I don't know. But I think those are kind of proofs. The other thing I want to mention is, I really do think that some people that are voting blue, if you are a voter, obviously I respect everyone, red, blue, whatever, if you purple in the middle, truly believe that if Duck wins this, it's going to be the end of kind of, not the world, but humanity, their world. There's so much fear around that. And I just want to say, most of your fear of that is illusion and programmed from things you've seen. So you might be frightened, there might be justification, but it's exaggerated and, what's the word? Exacerbated from things that are going on. So if that brings you kind of comfort, but that kind of fear also causes more tension between everyone. And I'm not saying if you are feeling this that you're causing tension. What I mean is I'm explaining for everyone. And I also want to say, if you're leaving your vote until the 5th of November, go in the morning, because at the end of the day, I am feeling two things. Let's pull cards. Yeah. At the end of the day, there is going to be it's not going to be a nice energy at the end of the day, right? I do think that there could be a turmoil. There could be someone trying to sneak in there. There could be trying to sneak in a double vote. I just think there's going to be tension, okay? And there's going to be a pushing of the crowds. I think most people will try to go early. I believe I was told that you have to go on the 5th to vote, but I've heard that some people, like I got a question on Patreon, and when there was the Florida first, the flooding from Hurricane Helene, I got a question were the votes okay? So I guess maybe can you send your vote or something? So some people might have already voted, but just be careful, okay? Just be careful. I think it's better to go early. These are concerning cards, what I pulled up, and I don't want to go into them any further. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is how is Camel feeling at the moment? Okay, so it's the 26th of October. I do want to say the 27th of October, I feel there's something, and it could be worldwide. I also feel like heading around the 1st of November, there's something as well. And I've got particular dates in November, which I'll talk in my global psychic predictions, that are coming across. But tomorrow, I don't know why, there's some kind of energy, and I didn't realize tomorrow is the 27th until now, saying, even though I've said it's 26. So by the time you see this, I would have entered the 27th. So let's see. How is Camel at this point in time feeling? And if you feel like this is not going to affect your country, you are very wrong. Sorry, everyone. So I had to stop the recording. You won't feel that. And when I came back, the actual camera had closed off and was restarting. Very strange. Anyway, here we have that to fully go forward in her potential. I feel that she feels Joe Bloggs is in the way, okay? There's something here, and it could be related to this, that she feels is not moving forward as she had hoped. It's not bringing her the fruits, the reward that she had hoped. Two things that I feel, by the way, and I'm going to pull cards. There's a strong population that believe that she is for the people more than Duck. That she has one on Duck, but I think there's been a loss of reputation and credibility more than maybe at the beginning. They were like, she's word salad, etc. I think there's been a hit there. This is something that we're not fully aware of. It's definitely something she's facing, and I feel like it's strongly to do with something where she feels justice is not moving forward as fast as it should. So it could be related to Duck, but also in terms of her fully getting the reward or justice on something that's not coming forward, as well as Joe Bloggs being in the way of her being able to fully run forward. She's agonizing over something here. She's in agonizing. So we can see this over these next couple of days. It might be a week. It's a check-in, okay? By the way, in the US, there will be economy and stock market hit. And if Trump wins, they will try to blame it on him. Okay, so I just want to say that. But regardless of who gets in, it will happen. There's going to be a shift in the economy and in the stock market, which I think has been kind of fairly stable in the US. All right. Can I ask you, when do your clocks go back? In the UK, it's 30th of October, I believe. The other thing I've got my phone here for my prophecy is that when I was thinking of the US, I got the prophecy of the 37th president. And I was like, well, I've got no clue who that is. So I looked it up, and I think it's someone called Nixon. Hello, everyone. So you might see that the camera just cut off, although there's storage. And I just did a recording for about 30 minutes. So it's so annoying, but I will try to do it again. I do remember some of the cards that came out, but some of the prophecy, I don't know if I've said it or not. So one of the things that I was getting is in the global psychic, and I'm just starting to sweat. So like, it's really hot. I don't know what happened. Is the 37th president. I don't know if I've said this. I know that I would have said it, but I don't know if it's in the recorded parts or not. The 37th president, I looked it up. It's either Richard Nixon or someone Nixon. He's the Republican. And I don't know what he's known for. So was he known for something good, bad, whatever it is, let me know. But I do think that let me know in the comments. Was he kind of like known for, did he only run one time? Was he known for, what was he known for? I think that's going to tie in, and we will do it. We will add more to it in the global psychic predictions. Now, when I did the energy check-in on Trump, I also said on Doug, I'm so peed off. I'm so peed off. When I did the check-in on Duck, he was running on empty. He was cutting out the BS, okay, around the media. We had I'm going to shuffle again, but we had the Queen of Swords, we had the Ace of Cups, and we had some other cards. I also then did a check-in on how he's feeling on the outcome of the interview of the Rogan show, whether he's had it or not. And what came up was basically there was some kind of thing at the beginning that wasn't going right, whether that's to do with the date, the agreement of it. Rogan's energy was very kind of methodical. He had his questions organized, very straightforward, but in not an aggressive way, very kind of grounded, like an earth sign kind of way. I'm not sure if he's an earth sign though. I feel like he's a bit, I don't know. But I think he might be near to a Virgo or something like that. Anyway, the way he came across would have been a bit like a Virgo, as opposed to rampaging through. But he's not frightened to say stuff. But there was something that they didn't agree to in the beginning. It's unfortunate because the first read would have given you examples, but I think you understand maybe what I'm saying. For Trump, definitely people feel obviously he can communicate more. He's got a power up one, as well as the feeling of Camel, because Camel, I'm not sure if I ever said this, I'm really sorry. People feel like she's not got the legal past, and so maybe she's a bit cleaner, clearer, transparent, honest in what she will be doing, what she will be running for. Duck, probably international affairs. And I did mention that it's going to be very volatile, things that will come up to switch stuff, weather and the Middle East. Currently, I did mention the Middle East, and it is continuing to change the way the US see things. I mentioned that in the current scenario, I don't think anyone's really running the country, and the country needs protection, but also needs things to be done. We got that in my last read, where I was like, where is blogs? Where is Biden? Everyone's focused on the election. I mentioned the economy and the stock market. Regardless, there's going to be a bit of a change in that, whether whoever gets in. But if Duck gets in, they will blame it on Duck. Okay. I mentioned to you about the McDonald's, and they've tried to, I don't think it's worked, but I caught on to it in terms of the EColi, and then a couple of days before Trump was at the McDonald's, right? I mentioned that when I saw his cards, the McDonald's was a good idea. I don't know how it was set up. Was the security checking that they were all Republicans, or how did they do it? Did they announce it? People wasn't like, oh my God. It's kind of like they were really happy to see him, but they knew. So I do think there was an announcement there. And I think it was much better for him than the rallies, because I do think he's running a bit on empty. And I mentioned that people are, those that are on, some people that are Democrats are actually really in honest fear. That fear is their own fear, but exacerbated and exaggerated on a illusion and programmed way from the things we see, that kind of like thinking the world is going to end. The world for us is going to end. It's going to be a bad time if Duck wins. And I just want to say that is not going to happen, right? You've gone through a presidency of Duck and other presidents that you might not have wanted. But there is that true fear, and that fear also will be causing more tension. I mentioned on the 5th of November, please do go early, because, and I pulled the cards, I don't know if it was in the last, if it was actually included in the last part, it might have been. We had very strong cards showing not a good by the end of the day. And I've mentioned that I believe if your election goes forward on the 5th of November, which is probably likely, then the higher likely is that there's no result. There's no result. There's silence on that day, and it's causing more tension for people, because there's a lot of angst and tension at the moment. Obviously, we've got war brewing around the world as well, and that is also controlling certain people. So, for example, and yes, all this ties in. If you've traveled like from the UK or Europe to see a family member or holiday, let's say to Dubai, can you get back, or are you stuck? And I saw there's some, I think there'll be more airports in the UK that probably, you know, the whole adding more security, stopping you on the side. And some of those people are actually pervy. They shouldn't be stopping, but yeah, they do. So all that kind of stuff, arrive at the airport instead of 2 hours before, 3 hours, 4 hours before the lineup, that whole thing is going to happen. People might need to delay flights because of flights going over certain countries. I mentioned in the Middle East reading that Israel will try to disarm Iran, like they did, like the US did for Iraq, and I do see that whether it's going down. I don't know if I mentioned Princess Margaret. I'm going to call it in the prophecy reading, but yes, please do let me know about the 37th president that came through very strongly, and he's a Republican, so there is a message there. And I will share it a later date, but I do want to know what he was known for. There is going to be a focus individually on property. I'll go through these in a later stage. So I do want to check. And I also want to say, if you think by December, the US is going to be stable or more calm, no, it's not. And remember, when I did the check for Biden, I think there's something around his health there in the slightest, I'm going to put it. So let's see how Trump is feeling in the current situation, please. So we've got now different set of cards. We've got the strength. We did have the Knight of Wands in reverse, very similar to this. And I'll go through that. Told to look at this card and told to look at the bottom of the deck. Okay. He needs to be careful about people stealing one on him, and he also needs to be careful not to get involved in doing anything stealing one on the other either. Okay, especially around communication, but I don't think so. I think it's things that are happening. Let's just get this card. I want to see the main energy. I'm told to take this one. Yeah. um uh as much as this, people might think this is a woman, it's camel, I don't think it is. I am getting Hillary. Okay, so I don't know if she has influence, but there's a female, okay, that might be trying to pull one on him. He needs to kind of be careful there. It could be any female, but anyway, he also should be careful not to engage in that. He has felt, quite restricted, and in the last portion, I got that his decision making, because he is feeling very restricted and a bit hopeless in a certain way, where he feels the Democrats have more lenient way. So he could, he feels like if he was a Democrat, he'd have more support, he'd have more truth of voice of communication. The ideas and communication he puts out there is not going to be exact. He's going to say, I'm going to put 2 stones here. He's not going to tell you the colors, because obviously someone might take those ideas. Now, he needs to be careful with being brash, harsh, and running in with a decision without thinking. So one thing, for example, is he needs to make sure he's not like, because he's running on empty, that he continues to restrain his inner self, being grounded, split the deck, okay? Be grounded, and see his power without acting in a rash way, hasty way, without like taking decisions where even angels will fear to put their feet. He runs in. He needs to be careful around that, okay? That's how he's feeling at this moment in time. Let's take a couple more cards here. I'm told to go to this deck. I'm sorry if I miss anything from the first read, but I can't do it. If this is not recording, it is. Clearly, I was trying to be stopped. He's feeling that he needs to defend himself quite a lot at this moment in time, constantly, and that's maybe what the burnout is. But he does feel there's going to be a victory. I think this is, I think he's having some downloads, right? We've got the High Priestess here, but he does have supporters, and I see Elon Musk here. And he does have supporters that you can't see, okay, that we can't see, right? And I think these are supporters that are going to turn their back on who they're currently voting for. I'm now going to read on how he felt or feels after doing the interview with Rogan, okay? See what cards we get. In the first cards, we received that he could, that came up. He felt really stuck and not able to move forward from the is it Congress? Like, I don't know what, just leave that part out because I can't remember exactly what I channeled. And the Magician came out and I channeled a message as well. So let's see, how does he feel after he's done with the interview with Rogan? I'm not taking all of these, I'll just take the top one. He feels it went very well. In the first one, he felt very well, okay? But at the beginning, there was something around not agreeing, not satisfied to something. He then felt when he was there, it wasn't like spotlights, big white lights. It was more of a relaxed environment. He was able to enjoy the conversation that was happening. here it shows that he definitely enjoyed something. With Trump, I get that after he's finished, he sits and reflects, and he's going to think that he's missed saying something, but not really. No one's really going to notice it. No one, it's not something that he needs. It's kind of like that perfectionist way. But let's keep going. We did get the Queen of Swords, and that is where I said that was in his energy at the moment, that he's cutting through the BS, but he was running on empty. So here we've got, he's been very sharp in terms of giving responses on decisions that could have been, he could give a couple of decisions, okay, as well as timely. I think I went into that, so let's just go with how he feels. Because of what's happened in terms of the media, in the first card pull, this was up. He felt like it was a success. Here I'm getting that he's kind of like going from it was a success, it wasn't a success. He's wondering, okay, I think it was a success. It will be a success depending on when it's happening. But he, in the meantime of waiting to see how media receives it, keeps fluctuating between it was a success, it's a victory, and it not being a victory. Okay, it's kind of like he's because it's probably because of the media and the way things work out, right? So he wants to see how it is, but this is he's not sure he's gonna receive that success. Okay, let's see, how did he feel the interview went. 10 of Cups. He definitely felt like he presented his future kind of plans and steps, but not like fully. All right. Yeah, he did think it went well. He felt like it went well, but in the meantime, he's kind of like a bit back and forth, and his emotions are what's making him question that is not his ego, his emotions. And I think this is based upon a media, okay, but we did get the King of Pentacles, so he did feel that like I said, he felt like he could speak his honest truth. He wouldn't have told every single detail because obviously he doesn't want to copy. I'm trying to remember what else I channeled. He has mentioned about overseas conflict, so that is coming up here for me. What else would he have mentioned? I think he's mentioned like to make the US great again and to bring us together. We need to do this, okay? Knight of Wands and the Death card. I think anyone that saw Trump in a way that he's always just being maybe combative against the Democrats and not saying anything substantial, that is the end of that. And there's I bet you, let's pull. That reminds me, Spirit told me to pull the animal deck last time, so I will do that. But basically, you know where it was like, in the past, a lot of what was being said might be about the blue party. He might have just said, yeah, if I was Democrat, I'd get more. But he actually voiced a lot more of what he would do. So it kind of, those people that felt like there was always, if this is not recording, okay. If how can I say this? I'm sorry. You know, like he's in an interview and the focus is about getting one on the blues. It's kind of like that interview ends that, and you see some people will see a different side of Trump, basically a different side of duck, which reminds me, if you're tuning in from the UK, does anyone remember Timmy Mallet with that massive red blow up hammer every time you said something wrong, or he'd hit you on the head? I need one next to me every time I say their proper names. And the speeding up and take the lead came out for him. So things are speeding up. Time for beginning mind. So there you go. Exactly what I mentioned has come through. Okay. Split the deck. You know your worth. And it's interesting. I put it above these cards and this here. So we see that. I'm going to leave it here. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to channel. Leave that there for you. I think he was generous as well in terms of what he was putting out there. He wasn't holding, like I said, he wasn't holding back. He was happy to share stuff, but he had to be cautious. You know, like KFC. Yeah, we fry the chicken, we do this, and we have these 20 ingredients, but there's like 30, 35, or there's 25. So you're going to be like, we won't say the last 5 ingredients because it might get copied. That's what I get for you. And I just want to bang the table that I lost the first load, but that's what we have. Tune in. If you enjoy the channel, please like, subscribe. You can comment, follow, and you can let me know who is the 37th president at the time. Maybe some of you were not present living, but maybe you know what you studied history. I think that's important for my global prophecy downloads as well. And I will hopefully tell you a bit more why he's probably came up, but your input will help. You can support via links in the description box. You can become a member, a Patreon to support. And I shall see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and bye for now.